on CNN yesterday evening, but also the raids that happened yesterday, who's actually being swept up in these raids. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was
suited up. She put on some gear.
Suited up. They had the photog. They were ready to go. So we'll be doing a block on that. It looks like Pete Buttigieg might finally be in a good position to win elected office
Remember, this is the powerhouse mayor of whatever town that
I was just going to say on the federal level, because there is now a
the
Senate
town where
seat,
Notre Dame is.
A Senate seat open in obviously Pete Buttigieg's famous home state of Michigan, which actually a lot of people don't realize he moved to Michigan a couple of years ago, likely with something like this plan.
Yeah, people were always saying that he's cursed because he's got such high ambitions, yet he's from Indiana, where no Democrat is going to be elected to the Senate or the governor's mansion in a very long time. And Buttigieg was like, wait, do I live in Indiana? No, I do not live in Indiana. In fact, I am a longtime Michigander.
Yes, of course. He just bleeds Michigan. But we'll be talking about that. It's a pretty interesting Senate race that's shaping up. So
and Vivek, he bleeds Ohio.
Yeah, Vivek was on Charlemagne and Breakfast Club, and we have a great clip, so stay tuned.
And he was strongly suggesting he's running for something in Ohio.
American hero Jim Acosta signed off of CNN yesterday after they tried to bump him to a later slot. We have a truly hilarious video of Jim Acosta's sign off from CNN. Just great stuff. Excited for that one.
Did you see his Substack Live?
Oh, he belongs to a Substack?
And he said in his first Substack Live, he said, "I'm going independent for now," which is such a delightful way to use the phrase independent.
I love that.
To qualify it with
for now.
For now.
Just buy me out.
Because it's like, well, wait a minute. Okay, it's one thing to say I'm going independent. Okay, because that suggests you weren't independent before, even if you did work for somebody.
Yeah,
but then to qualify it with for now.
Yeah, right. Because independent has such a it has such a positive connotation.
Right.
To be
but not to people like him. To him in his circle, it reads as a failure.
Right. Right.
For him, it's for now. Maybe he gets scooped up by the contrarian, which is the new explosive centrist.
The Jen Rubin joint.
And Norm Eisen.
Yeah, maybe.
Substack.
Maybe he will. He would love that. We should also, in that block, make sure to mention the hilarious Chris Cillizza thread. We're both obviously, very close observers of Chris Cillizza's Twitter feed, where he just, without any self-awareness, goes through things that he got significantly wrong over the last decade. It's incredible. So we'll hopefully bring a little bit of that to the table as well. Romania, Ryan's publication Drop Site had an absolutely fantastic rundown of U.S. intervention in Romanian elections that just happened. Huge story that just really hasn't been covered.
Really crazy story.
Yeah, so we're going to do that. And then your colleague, Murtaza Hussain, is here.
Yeah, Murtaza's going to talk about Steve Witkoff going to Gaza with Ron Dermer. So this is Trump's Mideast envoy, said a week or two ago that he wanted to go visit Gaza, which shook up Israeli politics. Like, what do you mean you're going to go visit Gaza? You're going to talk to Hamas? Like, it's not how that works. And he's a deal maker. He's like, how am I going to make a deal if I don't understand both sides here?
Yep.
Ron Dermer, who is Netanyahu's basically longtime top lieutenant, accompanied him to the Netzarim corridor. Murtaza just returned from a reporting trip in Syria. He'll also update us about what's going on there. What he has told me about what he saw on the ground there is utterly fascinating. He says the fighting is, by the way, not complete, in fact. And while Assad has left, because Assad's government was so heavily propped up by basically drug trafficking. They make Coptagon, this disgusting, low-grade speed that they sell mostly to Russia. Because they were making so much money from Coptagon, those commanders are like, we're not quitting. I don't care if you flew to Russia. We control this little bit of land. We got a factory that's making Coptagon. We're making money hand over fist. We have weapons. What are you going to do about it? So it's a very incendiary situation.
Well, that'll be a fascinating conversation with Maz. So let's dive into the news today with the federal aid grants, the federal aid, the loans, the grants, and the freeze/shutdown on those. Let's go to Jeff Stein for some updates. A judge has ordered a freeze on or has ordered a pause on the Trump funding freeze. We can put this first tear sheet up on the screen from CNBC. A federal judge paused actually until February 3rd the implementation of a Trump administration order that would have frozen the issuance of federal grants and loans. We are joined by Jeff Stein of the Washington Post, who just over the last couple of days has been working really hard on this story. Busy man, running down all kinds of news and reporting. So Jeff, thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Great to be on with Crystal and Sagar.
that's
Bait
Crystal.
Switch.
Yeah.
Bait and switch. It's the only way we can get people on this program.
Yeah, we always have to say.
And then we show up and they're like, what? Oh, God. What's going on? I guess I'm here. Might as well do the hit.
Well, Jeff, let's just start with this news about the pause. Can you just tell us a little bit about what this means? I think that's a good place to start because it's really confusing. Like at any given point yesterday, what was actually happening was confusing because people were interpreting what the White House sent, and the White House was saying that they should be interpreting it differently, but actually in practice, people's interpretations kind of become policy. So as of right now, that there's a freeze, let's say you are the veterans charity that you talked to in California, mostly funded by federal grants. What does this mean for you?
What it should mean, at least, is that there's no stoppage of funding, and so whatever was expected to come in, in the next few months would, and that there would be no interruption. However, in the last 12 hours or so, I've been receiving numerous text, signal messages, calls, emails from people who say that their funding is being interrupted, and so it's 8:30 or so this morning. As soon as we get off this call, I'm going to figure out what's going on there because this federal order seemed pretty clear. There were some exceptions, for instance, things that had been frozen unilaterally by the Trump administration before this most recent stop order seemed like it would still be stopped. But what the Trump people had done was massively expand, in an unprecedented way with pretty unclear legal standing, the extent of the president's hold on federal funds. And, the judge really was very clear that the vast majority of that needs to continue, at least until February 3rd. But given all the confusion and given that, I've been asking the Trump people, are you complying with this order? And they haven't said. So I think there was a huge sigh of relief from a lot of people yesterday that this crisis would be over. For some, it doesn't seem to be yet. Provisionally, I'll say, because it's still so soon after the order, maybe things will get sorted out today.
Yeah, I think this entire 4 years will probably be like the last 15 minutes of a horror movie where people keep sighing and thinking that it's over. And then boom, like something else comes out of the closet. So I would encourage people not to sigh and think that it's over unless, they're trying to draw some type of monster from around the corner. Let's roll a little bit of Caroline Leavitt yesterday at the White House, her first White House press briefing, where she did not really kind of settle people's nerves about where this is going.
Can you just clarify for a sec what you were saying before on Medicaid? It wasn't clear to me whether you were saying that no Medicaid would be cut off. Obviously, a lot of this goes to states before it goes to individuals and so forth. So are you guaranteeing here that no individual now on Medicaid would see a cutoff because of the pause?
I'll check back on that and get back to you. John.
On the freeze in federal funding, who advised the president on the legality of telling government agencies that they don't have to spend money that was already appropriated by Congress?
Well, as the OMB memo states, this is certainly within the confines of the law. So White House counsel's office believes that this is within the president's power to do it, and therefore he's doing it.
Okay, so they disagree with lawmakers who say that they don't have the power to freeze this funding.
Again, I would point you to the language in the memo that clearly states this is within the law.
So let's take the first part first, which is Medicaid. The memo that went out from OMB said that money that's going out to individuals will not be interrupted. It also said none of this should be construed to apply to Social Security or Medicare. They could have added Medicaid and did not. And as one of the reporters there pointed out, because Medicaid flows first, from the federal government to states and then from states to individuals, all these portals ended up going down. The memo did specifically say that it excludes money going from Medicaid to payment providers. Mm-hmm. But they didn't. But either they forgot the state part, or what? Now the White House is saying it was a screw up, and we're going to fix this. What is the truth here? What can you tell us about how this happened?
It's a really good question, Ryan, that we're still